This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
We're back and we have my mama on the show today, and we're just talking about real estate and how things have changed, and just talking about real estate agents and work-life balance. But mama, when you bought your first home, what year was that?
1983, and it was very unusual circumstances because we lived in Coalinga and they had just had a major earthquake. So
the big one.
A big one. And so any houses that didn't fall down and that you could actually buy, it was talk about no homes on the market. Very, very few. So there were a few new homes that had been purchased, and we right away gobbled one up. And again, it's like $55,000 seems to be the number for us, but the house cost $55,000. Back in 1983, but that was, we had to find somewhere to live, and thankfully we found somewhere.
What drew you to that house? What was it that you liked about the house on Monday?
It was available. It was in our price range.
Actually, husbands, I would not recommend you do this, but my husband thought it would be great to just say, hey, honey, I bought a house. I never saw it.
Wow.
I didn't have any say in it.
Oh, Pops.
At all. He just, hey, I found a house and I bought it.
But I bet you he was excited about that because he felt like I'm providing and I'm taking the lead here.
I'm sure he did. Well, because
that's not uncommon. Just so you're aware,
it's not uncommon. Well, it's what his dad had done with his mother too.
Okay.
So
I haven't done that to Val.
Good boy. All right.
Hey, Valerie, I bought a boat.
I bought a boat. Yeah.
That's a whole nother story, a boat story.
Do you remember what the interest rate was?
Ooh.
Yes. It was an FHA at 11.9%.
Whoa, we think 7 is bad. This is a great point to stop and think about that for a minute, because a lot of people forget, because we've been used to low, 3s and even 2s and 4s, and we're at, I don't know, somewhere around the 7s, right? Yep. And so to look back and you thought...
And everyone was like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? How'd you get 11.9? Because it was considered so great.
Wow.
That was a phenomenal interest rate.
I used JJ Mack. That's how I used it.
Do you remember how many square feet the home was?
Yes, it was 1,000 square feet.
When you bought it, right?
When we bought it, it was a 3-2, and so it was 11.9.
You did an addition.
We did an addition and added a den. So then we bumped it up to 1,400 square feet. And that's the home that Johnny and his siblings came home in after they were born. But it was a great deal. I mean, FHA, we only had to put 3% down on $55,000. And we just thought, oh, this is exciting. We're owning our first home.
That's cool.
And some people listening to this, they're like, okay, I would pay 11.9%
for a $55,000
if the house only costs $55,000. But what many people fail to take into consideration is...
It was in Coalinga.
Yeah, it was in Coalinga.
Hey,
you get a house.
We love Coalinga. We love Coalinga. Have you ever been to Coalinga, Matt?
I think I've driven through, right?
Well, everyone says that they've smelled it because of Harris Ranch.
Yeah, no,
I've never. I mean, what are the top tourist destinations in Coalinga?
Oh gosh,
the Baker Museum.
Yeah, I was to say that's.
Hey,
that's
I grew up and was raised in Yuba City for many years, in big agricultural town. So we had one movie theater, not a whole lot. So I appreciate those small towns. It's a great place to raise a family. Absolutely.
Well, most people, back to the $55,000 thing, they don't realize, hey, what were wages at that time? Right. What is that? That home today is probably worth $250, $300, like low $275 today. Right. It's probably what that home would sell for. And so you're thinking, okay, well, that's not a lot. Well, hey, back to the Coalinga conversation. It's location. Right. But when you're looking at homes, whether it's in the Sacramento area or anywhere in the country, you have to figure out that, or you have to realize that appreciation, real estate, your primary home is a hedge against inflation. So sometimes the housing market will outpace inflation, and that's where you're starting to make some money. But oftentimes it's just keeping track. It's 3 to 4% every year, and inflation is typically about 3%. So it's just keeping pace with inflation. So when you hear $55,000, you're like at 11%. Just change that into today's numbers at 11%, right? And so it's you're not comparing apples and oranges. It's apples and apples. But
well, I would say if we're going to talk percentages, we also refinanced twice while we were in that home. We lived there for 15 years because as interest rates came down, then we would refinance. So, we got it down to in the 9s, and then we got it down into the 6s. And that saved a lot.
Yeah.
Then the 6s, and here you are, back in interest rates like what we have today.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. When I bought, maybe I did do that to Valerie. I don't remember Valerie seeing the home.
Oh man, it's a Jennings thing.
It's a 3-generation. It's a John thing. Sorry, Jack. Sorry, Jack's future wife.
I'm gonna have to talk to your future wife.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, maybe I did. But Valerie and I weren't married, and I wanted, to have a house for her when we did get married. And so we were living in Bakersfield at the time, and we went with a family, like realtor, who Valerie knew. And so at least I did that. Valerie picked the realtor. And, but I used every single last penny I had to buy this house. And I remember vividly being on my bachelor party and the lender calling me and being like, hey, I know I said get you $10,000 extra in this grant. We got you that, but guess what? My fees have changed and it's going to cost you an extra, whatever it was. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. What's the benefit to this program? So the lender was a little bit shady. So I had but I wanted to close the deal. I was too far into it. The wedding was a couple days away. And so we closed on it. But what I learned in that process is how important inspections are, because I vividly remember having no money left. And then all of a sudden the house starts flooding because the main line was backed up. So, hey, it's not always roses. It's not always roses.
No, again, it's taking a leap of faith.
Oh, yeah.
If you're really sure you want something, you go for it. And then you just deal with things as they come.
Deal with them as they come, and it all works out in the long run.
So before we end today's show, I'd love to get your perspective as the mom. What is your recommendation for people that are listening that are thinking about selling their home or buying their home? Why would you recommend your son, Johnny Jennings?
Absolutely. No one is going to work harder for you, have more, be available all the time, but it's his integrity. He's so honest. He is always going to tell you the truth. And so that's why you can trust him. And I know that trust is a huge factor in your real estate agent. You've got to be able to trust them that what they're doing is for your good and for your best, to enable you to get what you're wanting to get. So no one's going to work harder for you. And I'm saying that honestly. No one's going to put out more effort and be more honest than Johnny and Valerie.
There you go.
Thanks, Mama. All right.
She should be doing your endorsements on the radio.
Yeah, we gotta get
she should be voicing your commercials.
Maybe that's in your future, Mama. You got a new job.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Thanks for being on the show, Mama. It was a pleasure.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you, son.